Hello there. See this right here? It is November 1st, which means it is time for my monthly retro for October. If you guys don't know, every month I record a short monthly retro, usually about 15 to 20 minutes, talking about everything in the business and my life. So on the business side, we go over profit, loss, finances, wins, losses, goals, etc. Run through those super quick. I'll show you guys spreadsheets. I'll show you guys my cash flow analysis, and I'll also just show you my journaling perspective, how I'm feeling as a founder. And then from the life perspective, we talk about a little bit of the same investments, priorities, goals, and how I'm taking care of myself as a founder as well. If these are interesting to you and you guys have been following along my journey so far, I originally started this year back in January with the goal to make 6 figures of revenue in my first 4 year as an entrepreneur. And we've since hit that goal in August of 2025, so 7 months into the year. And now we're seeing how deep we can take it. Our goals in the short term are doing housing search, investing in property, and reinvesting back into the business with our profit margin. And today I'm going to be talking through how the revenue and everything was going for October. So without further ado, let's dive straight into. So Notion is where we track all of our high level stats. As you can see, tracking since February of 2024 all the way to now of October of 2025. So opening it up, top line business revenue for this month, $25,298. Business expenses, $2,257. And I added onto this monthly Notion template. So I redid the template that adds into this Notion database here. And let me hide the outline mode here. And I'll append everything with the screenshots as well from Monarch Money. Our software stack, if you guys are watching for the first time, I say it every episode, but we use Google Sheets for our cash flow analysis, Stripe to double check all transactions, Moxie is our project management system, and also our CRM, lightweight for Moxie is what our developers and contractors use timesheets in, so it's a little bit of data on there we pull from. We use Notion to pull it all together, and we use Monarch Money as kind of a top level banking aggregator. So it pulls in from my business and my personal accounts. And it's a much simpler and streamlined way for us to be able to filter information and make better decisions. Also very helpful come tax time, because you can categorize each transaction based on where it's coming from, the vendor, the date. You can mark things as recurring. And I just love Monarch Money. I want to apologize in advance for the production quality on this video. I'm sitting at Panera Bread right now, and it's been a long Saturday, but we're committed to doing this on the first of every month, and that just happens to be a Saturday this month. So back to Notion, kind of running through our stats, our other KPIs that we're tracking. Personal income, $200. That was just from investments and so forth. Business expenses were quite high this month, so $2,257. And as you guys are going to see, a lot of that came from contractor labor. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Monarch Money, clear all the filters, and you guys are going to check out how easy and cool this is to do. First of all, go and check out all the rest of the episodes from this year where I do a similar thing, but literally how I categorize all my transactions is I just go to Moxie or Monarch Money, I'll hit last month, and then it has all transactions within here, and I can set filters on which source they come from. So for income, I just go to MMG Design, click that, you can instantly see how much income, reset the filters. If I want to go to expenses, I have all my different types of business expenses categorized. Click business, hit apply, boom, can instantly see how much from that comes out of the business and for what. We can also set cash flow visualizations, and I should have done this ahead of time, but we can set one of these for October, which I'm going to do right now. I can go back a month here, click October, and we can see, which categories are coming out. So a lot of our investments were, I maxed out my Roth IRA for the year, just to get it out of the way where I had some extra cash flow. So I dumped 3,500 into that. We usually have 500 that comes apart every month, just into that. And then next biggest expense was contractor labor. So $1,500 to contractor labor, and that is by far the most we've ever done. And I know from a holistic perspective, it may not look like a lot, but you're talking to me, and if you guys have been following me, you know that I have a traditional Midwestern background when it comes to expenses and remaining lean, etc. So that was not easy for me, but that is a win because it means I'm creating more leverage for myself. I'm spending my time on higher ROI activities. As unproductive as I feel sometimes, that is the direction that we're headed. Business networking and outreach. We paid for an event in Manhattan this month. So we'll talk about in our priorities for the upcoming month. So we paid $200 for a networking event, $189 on groceries, $164 on gas, $450 every month on subscription software, which is getting up there, but it's all necessary. One thing we are going to stop doing is stop paying for Adobe. So once I go through and export all of my PSDs, you guys are creatives, you saw the release of Affinity Photo. So as soon as I saw that, dabbled around for a little bit, really enjoy using it. It's got a great interface. I really enjoy it. Bit of a learning curve, not quite the same as Photoshop and Illustrator, but it's this little icon here at the bottom, and it's going to take a while to open, so I won't even mess with it. But yeah, here it is. So I just transitioned our creative software over to Canva, paid for a premium account. We do some work for clients in Canva, and if I can implement some learning curve of learning how to use Affinity Photo into the process as we go here, that'll be fine and dandy. So that's kind of a high level view of the cash flow. Again, total income was just over 25,290, or if I go back to Notion, 25,298. Business expenses, 2,257. Personal income, 200 in interest, and personal expenses, 4,355. And the majority of that was the Roth IRA investment into our S&P account. So that's a recap and a high-level view. You guys can see all the screenshots here from Monarch Money that I put on this page. Now onto the wins, losses, and a reflection on last month's goals and action items, seeing what I accomplished and what I didn't, and setting more things in place doing that. This is Affinity Photo, by the way. Very similar to Photoshop Illustrator, but this is not an Affinity Photo tutorial. So back to Notion here. So the wins and losses for October. Wins, we had a high month of revenue, not the highest of the year, but I think top 3. If we go back to our retro database here, it is our 3rd. June was our highest, so 2nd highest of the year, so it's nice. A lot of invoices came due this month for longer term and scope projects, but yeah, we're making it happen 1 month at a time. Back to October here. Okay, it's so hard to bounce around all of these. Sorry, not sorry, but you know, it's not about presentation quality, it's about the information. So high month of revenue, we outsourced a lot, which like I said, is a good thing. Had our first ever live stream with the one and only Mark Samansky. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. This month, I met Mark last month, but we had an all new content format for the channel, and we did a live stream. So if I go to my live, of course, it's not going to show up on here. So if I go to Creator Studio here in YouTube Studio, we'll look at our collabs because we did collab on it. If I go to content, go over to collaborations, boom. He's since released our podcast. That's another win. But our live stream has almost 400 views on YouTube and 20 likes, which is clout for someone at my size with my level of social impact. But it was a great chat and a great conversation. A lot of his audience is WordPress people. A lot of my audience is Webflow people. And we just shot the crap on everything WordPress and Webflow. He was nice enough to let me talk most of the time, definitely more than I felt comfortable.
What are they
talking.
saying?
But we went on for about an hour. We got some really good comments going in the discussions. And yeah, just a great piece of content. Someone even commented with the show notes. That's really cool. But yeah, that was definitely a highlight of the month and something I want to do more moving forwards. So that was great. We recorded a podcast with Kyle Adams. So Kyle is someone that I've been following for a while on LinkedIn. and he used to work at Kit. So we recorded a live podcast episode of him basically tearing down my newsletter strategy, and tearing down a lot of my preconceived misnomers about just what I'm doing when it comes to the newsletter in general. And yeah, it was a great chat. So highly recommend you guys follow Kyle Adams on LinkedIn, subscribe to his newsletter, learn from his content. You will not regret it. And stay tuned for the podcast episode coming out with Kyle on marketing by design. We released our podcast with Brad this month, which was great. Got a great response on LinkedIn. YouTube video didn't do amazing, but got a really good response on LinkedIn from the clips and content we shared. Started some good conversations, and he has agreed to a round 2. One of our clients signed on for another yearly retainer, so that's more of a business win, but adding it there. We went to Zoco Design for UXDX, which was a community summit that they have at the Zoco location in Columbus every year. So I'm making sure my mic's still on. We went to Zoco Design in Columbus. If you guys don't know who Zoco Design is, we had Lacey Picasso, their founder, on a while back. One of our first episodes of the podcast, which is, Lord almighty, a long time ago. But great company, great people, always do a great job of curating an awesome environment. We had a great time at that event. Highly recommend you guys follow Lacey and learn from Zoco. They're great follows on LinkedIn as well. That was a great event. We started doing bi-weekly check-ins with one of our biggest clients out in Utah, and those have been going very well. We guested on the Breakthrough Innovation podcast. So I was a guest on JL Heather's show. Breakthrough Innovation. This podcast right here, really cool show. They keep a really slick and clean format, so they compress it to under 20 minutes. But I literally talked about the business, talked about getting started, talked about founder mindset mentality. We talked about the monthly retros a little bit, creating a financial habit around some of the things that you do in your business, positives and negatives of doing that. It was just a great conversation. Him and Preston are co-founders of their company, which is called Centered Work. And they're great podcast hosts. So I'm stoked for that to come out. They said it would be coming out sometime this month. So about a 6-week gap after recording. And that's going to be a super fun episode. So I'm excited to keep that on the radar. Great conversation. We had the Tiger Talk event with Brad, who is the guest on the podcast, over in New Albany. So that was an awesome one. It was like a 4-hour workshop where we started Vibe. It's called a vibe coding workshop. So we learned how to use aura.build, which is a AI design tool to build a front end. And my little experiment was building a build. I'll even bring it up, the project. I've been ideating on like what it would be like to create a founder community for profile. Let me see my projects here on like Columbus Founders. I actually bought the domain Columbus Founders. So I just ideated a little landing page for that would look like, and I created basically a very cookie cutter framework, as you can see, but it did prompt pretty well when I asked it to add animations, which is pretty cool. But again, the design is obviously not inspiring in any sense of the word. But the workshop was really cool. Got to meet Brad, got to meet a couple people that we're going to meet for coffee here in the coming weeks that could be potential referral partners and guests of the AMA. So always a win when we socialize. A lot of fun there. Oh, if you guys saw that. I'm gonna have to clip that. That's funny. I am humiliated. Okay. So onto, and one of our clients did expand into an additional site project in terms of scope. So I'm gonna struggle my way through the rest of this episode after that. Okay, on to the losses. Great segue here. We've had hearing aid problems. So if you guys don't know, I'm not even wearing them right now because I can't hear. But I wear double hearing aids, and we've been having a lot of technical difficulties with getting them to work correctly. They are also my Bluetooth hearing devices that I use on calls. They connect to my laptop, and they're super awesome. when they work. And this month they were not working, so it's been really tough to, especially at events, to be able to hear people and communicate and have conversations in loud rooms and stuff. So that sucks. We dropped the ball on a few relationship projects. So a couple of our developers were behind on some tasks, and even some of the things that we did for our bigger clients really just dropped the ball on them. Small details of things that I missed that I sent over, but I just didn't review. And so a really good notice to take things more seriously, have that attention to detail, and making sure that we're showing up in the best sense of the word. We had a high expense month, like I said, maxed out the Roth, and then we had a high month of contractor expenses, so not the best from that standpoint. We were not accountable to the housing search. Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I take time every month, allocate time on the calendar to visiting properties, getting stuff together for the realtor, and also talking to more realtors? Why didn't I do that? I just let my evening slip away from me. Not good. Company direction. This is a big one. So as we do our cash flow analysis, I don't get very particular in these monthly retros about the client information. When I first started, I had a very stark warning lesson on not doing that, on not sharing too many details about the clients that we work with in terms of their names. And sometimes it does slip through in some of these, but a lot of them have started to take shape in a similar form, similar industry. So there's a future of the company as I try and zoom out and be unopinionated and unemotional about the decision for the direction of the company, which is in large part my own efforts. There's a future of the company where we double down on that specific niche. We only serve that audience. And it's a tough decision because, as with any niching or scaling problem, a lot of the books that I've been reading recently are how do you scale a business? You know, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, Dan Sullivan, Blake Erickson. This month I read 5 audiobooks all about this topic. And it caused a lot of self-reflection. It caused a lot of what do we want the company to be moving forwards? And that exponential growth opportunity is there if we commit to it. As with anything, the hard commitments are usually the ones that have the most upside potential. But to be honest with you guys, to build the business to this point now, to where it's consistently netting over 20K in revenue, it has taken a lot of me fixing problems by throwing my time at them. And that's something I've said a lot. It has not been easy. It has not been sustainable, but I do sustain it because I don't know what else I would do because and it's hard. I'm not going to lie. I always put on a positive and smiling face when I do these or when I record content, but it takes a lot out of me. So there's a future where we commit. I've always had commitment issues, but I don't think this will be as emotional or hard of a problem. But one of my goals for this month, action items and goals, is to go in and just workshop and talk through these things, outline and productize the niching scheme. We'll get to the goals for next month in a minute. But that's the big thing that I'm thinking about when it comes to the company direction and the future of MMG as we scale. So action items and goals. Okay, so how are we going to take everything we just talked about and apply it moving forwards? Reviewing last month, the checked off things are the things I accomplished, and the unchecked things are the things that I were not accountable to. So we did not have dedicated marketing time. My biggest marketing asset for the business has been LinkedIn and sending one-to-one connections and outreach, commenting, building relationships on there. That has so slipped off. Like I used to be very diligent on spending the first hour of my day there. Has been compressed time-wise very much. And I don't know if it's just not a priority anymore because we are very busy on the fulfillment side of things. But to be honest with you guys, I don't really view it as a huge loss because it's gotten me here. And I know we always need to keep marketing motions in place as we grow and scale because you never want to take your foot off that pedal. But it is very manual. So something I have been reading, I follow a creator named Matthew Brown. If you go to my email inbox, you can see some of his newsletters. But he has a very systematized approach for hiring a BA and doing outreach on LinkedIn that is a much less time intensive, but is still guest conversations in my inbox, things that I can manage off the clock in a much more passive way. But yeah, so that's something I've been thinking about moving forwards. Next, I had a goal to record one YouTube video. Did not do that. Was not accountable. Why not? I had time. Didn't set the time. Didn't make the time in order to do that. We tidied up our podcast and did this was something I'm actually proud about. I am no longer ashamed of having a big backlog. I think having thinner cadences of recording net new episodes is a good idea. One of the big wins I forgot to mention for this month is that Cohatch Co-working Studio agreed to sponsor our podcast. If I look through my messages here, I think I have a photo that I sent to Dad. But yeah, they signed a community partnership agreement, so we get access to using their studio in Cohatch, Worthington, to record podcast episodes, 6 episodes a month. So we have more than enough studio space. We also joined Cohatch as a co-working space member, so we're going to be spending a lot of time there. I always have very productive work sessions there, but it's really cool. And I'm looking forward to reporting some great content there. Shout out to Morgan, the absolute man, for doing that and getting this partnership inked. But that's a really big win, is the podcast now has 2 sponsors. So that's something that I need to do, and I'm going to lean more into in-person podcasting now that we have that resource. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We need to finish up our projects. We have 3 launches on the plate for this month for these 3 clients. Yeah, it's going to be a big month in the business, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So as this was last month, we didn't actually get those launched, but these actually all ended up being scope expanded projects. So they aren't losses because we didn't launch them, but they actually expanded scope, which is a good thing. So these 3 will be launching this month, as listed here below. So we did not get across to launching those because of the scope expansions. And on the life side, we did do daily walks, we did do daily gym sessions, and we did get approved for a loan of up to $400,000. So we have been pre-approved. Now it's about staying consistent on the actual outreach and getting properties to actually visit and starting that process. Something I wasn't accountable to doing was the daily manual outreach. So reaching out to 3 people daily and daily LinkedIn posts. I missed last Friday, of posting on LinkedIn. So that's something I was not accountable to. So this month up ahead, look for me and moving forwards, wrapping this up. We want to launch these 4 websites: Darwin, Fabric Technology, Stratford, and Exact Medicare. We may not get around to launching Exact Medicare because they just expanded scope as well to put out a B2B side. So that I'm actually going to take off because there's no way that's going to launch this month. We'll have it live before the end of the year, before AEP and open enrollment ends, but that's not to the context of this video. Dedicated marketing time. So time every morning, either spent on LinkedIn or sending emails. Having that as the first block in a calendar, now that I'm able to breathe a little bit from a client fulfillment side, that's what we're going to make happen. I want to record 1 YouTube video this month. So dipping my foot in the water of the niching and personalization, just seeing how that responds. I'm starting to make some of the content around that. There's no loss in sort of dabbling while we're still experimenting. Right now with the content, I'm just building a founder brand and I'm not speaking to anyone in particular. So we really have nothing to lose by starting to tailor our messaging a bit more. So recording 1 YouTube video all about this niche, and obviously, like I touched on, outlining and productizing it. On the life side, we have 2 big events, so I need to do preparation for that. We have a mastermind dinner in Columbus that Jay Klaus is hosting here on the 13th, so 2 weeks. Super stoked for that, to meet him again. We have Evolve Digital in Manhattan, so that is a big conference up in Manhattan at the end of this month. I'll show you guys what that conference looks like. I have to make with just travel arrangements because I have not been accountable to doing that yet. And it starts on the 20th. So I've got like less than 3 weeks, which I'm trying to stress the hell out. And I've never been to Manhattan. I've never been to a big city. So yeah, we're stressed, but we're going to make that happen. So planning for that. It's going to be a great conference. A lot of WordPress people, a lot of web people. So yeah, we're going to network really hard. We're going to make a lot of this is going to be a great conference for us. So I'm super stoked for this. My man, Dale. Yeah. He was on the podcast. I've interviewed him. Who else do I know on here? Gotta be some other ones. Look at this lineup, dude. This is crazy. I know I met this guy at CEX. Yeah. As you can see, pretty insane lineup. Gonna be a great conference. And I am looking forward to it. Next up, and polishing out this list, make travel arrangements for both of those. And Phoenix 2x is harder than 10x. 10x is easier than 2x, whichever one. I can't remember. I'm reading that book right now before bed. And I'm going to finish that book on the life side. So those are my goals. All right. 25 minutes, not too bad from a retro perspective. It's November 1st, so that was October's monthly retro. If you guys found this valuable, if I'm 1 to 2 steps ahead of you in business and you want to chat with me, pick my brain, get a consulting session, if I had someone to talk to, a year ago before I was first starting, tracking my revenue, reporting this, and building a business on my own, I would have really valued talking to someone at my stage, just as I do for people that are far ahead of me. So let me know if that resonates with you guys. I hope this helps you guys, and I highly recommend having some kind of a financial habit like this in place for your business, agency, or just your personal life, because it's a very healthy habit to know what the chess pieces are so that you can change them and take control of them moving forwards. So that was monthly retro for October of 2025, and I'll see you guys next month or November. Peace.